Hello, friends. Have you been drowning yourself? All I want to say is that if you know that feeling of pushing yourself down, making yourself so overwhelmed, anxious, tired, full of options, working so hard at a thing that you can hardly breathe. I mean, I'm trying to make it funny, but it's not funny. It's not funny when it happens, right? It's intense. So when I was a younger man, I had the rare and delightful opportunity to study with a Zen Roshi named Jerry Shishin Wick in Colorado. I learned many amazing things from him, but during one particular weekend, I want to say it was maybe a beginner's get to know the Zen Center there, the Great Mountain Zen Center, take our intro to meditation kind of weekend. There was an opportunity to have some question and answer time with the Roshi. Here's what was going on for me. I'd studied some Zen and done some practice in Los Angeles and then moved to Colorado. There's an instruction in Zen, as it's commonly taught, that you want to notice the breath, and usually you count it, the exhale often, without affecting it. Like, don't try and control the breath, right? And it's suggested that sometimes your breath might even stop when you do that. And not to be alarmed by that your body will naturally resume breathing because we want to live and our lungs want to fill with air, and so they'll do that. There's a mechanism in place for that. But what I was finding was that as I was tracking the breath, I was so rigid in trying to do the Zen instruction correctly and to overachieve at it. Often my breath would stop. Often my breath would be so shallow as to be painful. I could feel all of the muscles in my abdomen and my torso tensing up because I wasn't getting enough breath. It was just very shallow. In my conscious mind, I was trying not to control the breath, but you can draw your own conclusions from that. But then I would take like yoga workshops or different kind of meditation things. I was, kind of into the whole self-help thing. And so I'd be in somebody else's space, a non-Zen space. And the meditation instructor would say something like, allow your breath to be full and easy. Imagine your breath expands out to the extremities of your limbs. And this kind of instruction obviously is more on the realm of possibly affecting or controlling your breath, but I have to say, it felt so much better, right? And this kind of instruction of allow your breath to become full and easy, something like that, seemed like, well, is it really controlling my breath? Let's say I were to incorporate that into my Zen practice. And so anyway, this is the question I brought to Roshi. And he was kind of looked at me funny, and then he kind of smiled a little bit after I, kind of explained the two ways as I was seeing it of how to notice the breath, how to have a quality or an attention to the breath during meditation. And he kind of looked at me funny. And my thought about his look was that maybe he didn't quite understand what the difference was between these two things. Or maybe his look was just bewilderment, because he smiled a little bit and his answer was so simple. He said, so you're trying to decide between one way of counting your breath that is painful and difficult, and one way of counting your breath that's easy and peaceful. And you're trying to decide which way. And he looked at me. Oh my gosh. Getting a little teary just because it was kind of breathtaking, the simplicity of his wisdom. He looked at me and he said, well then, I would suggest choosing the easier path, the path that's full of easiness and peacefulness, His answer was so hilarious because it was so obvious. Why was I making it so much harder than it had to be? Anyway, it was such a great moment for me, not only in my meditation practice and Dharma study, but also in life. Just how many times do I find myself, and I'll ask you, dear watcher, How many times do you find yourself in a situation where you're kind of struggling with some choice and you want to make the right choice and you want to make sure you've explored all the pros and cons? Let's say we're talking about songwriting. You can't decide between this title or that title, or is this title good enough, or is this one word the best word I could use at the third line of the verse? And you struggle at it, and perhaps you're like having this sensation of tightness and rigidity, and it almost, you can't breathe, like drowning, right? When in fact you could allow your breath to be full and easy, and some decisions you could roll some dice, flip a coin, ask a friend, maybe there's an easier way. I invite you to keep your eyes and your ears open for that easy way whenever it's presented to you. I mean, this whole musical creative life is challenging enough. So when we notice a moment where the choice could be easy, the path could be easy, let's take Shishin Wick's advice and let's take that easy path. All right, friends, my quote for you today is on this topic. Byron Katie says, "Life is simple. Everything happens for you, not to you. Everything happens at exactly the right moment, neither too soon nor too late. You don't have to like it. It's just easier if you do." Thanks, Byron Katie. So anyway, friends, let's just bow into a creative practice here, shall we? Hold for a moment, and if you'd like, allow your breath to be easy and peaceful and full. Take a moment with your emotions. Just notice what's there. There's no need to change what's going on, but just take a little inventory. And then as a gesture of beginning, of entering into the creative practice together, we bow. So your writing prompt today is, when I say go, I want you to start your pen moving. And the prompt, the invitation, the question is, what could be easier in your life? Or said another way, if there's something in your musical life, in your life that has a quality of struggle or trying really hard, is there an option in which that struggle loosens up and becomes easy? The breath becomes easy and full. So when I say go, I want you to start your pen moving, keep your pen moving, and write on this topic for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And then use that writing as your starting place for writing a song on this topic. Let this whole songwriting situation untangle some of these knots that might be difficult in your life, and let's see what kind of song could come out of it. Got it? What's something that's all tangled up in your life that could have an easier option? Let your pen go. Don't stop your pen moving. If it gets weird, keep your pen moving. On your mark, get set, go. Thanks. I'm Gary for Golden Lotus Studio. I can't wait to hear what you make.